When people dream of moving to Spain, there is one coastline that almost always comes up. Marbella, Malaga, Benalmádena, Nerja. Costa del Sol has spent decades building a reputation as Spain's most famous coastline. But a few hundred kilometers away, another coastline has been quietly changing. Less expensive, less crowded in places, just as beautiful. After spending some time in both destinations, we wanted to answer one simple question. If you were choosing one coastline today, which one would you choose?
We've been living in Costa del Sol for years, so naturally we know every corner of it. Costa Blanca is new to us. We recently spent a week exploring the whole length of it. We spoke with locals and did a lot of research before making this comparison. So if anything, we are coming at Costa Blanca with fresh eyes rather than years of familiarity. So let's start with the reputation. For a moment, close your eyes. When you think about Costa del Sol, what comes to your mind? Luxury, beach clubs, golf, international appeal. And now what about Costa Blanca? Crystal clear beaches, skyscrapers, package holidays, and affordable living. But are these reputations still true?
We are going to compare both coastlines following these categories, starting with the most obvious one. Because of course, if you're thinking of moving or visiting Spain, it's because you want to enjoy the sunshine, you want to spend hours under the sun. Now, let me be very honest with you. Both coastlines have a very similar weather. When you look at Costa del Sol, we have slightly more sunshine days than in Costa Blanca. On average, in Costa del Sol, we have around 320 to 330 days of sunshine versus Costa Blanca between 300 and 320 days. But when it comes to the temperature, it's basically the same. In the peak of the summer, we reach temperatures of around 30 to 33 degrees in both coastlines. But then, when we're talking about the shoulder months, those months outside the peak of the summer, we actually went to Costa Blanca around end of May. And it was slightly warmer in Costa Blanca than it was here in Costa del Sol. But then, when it comes to winter months, here Costa del Sol is slightly better, especially on the western side of Costa del Sol, Marbella, Estepona, because we have a microclimate here, which makes it very mild months of winter. When it comes to rain, it does rain in both coastlines. It's not always sunshine and sun throughout the year. Here in Costa del Sol, we have an average of 500 millimeters of rainfall a year, but then in Costa Blanca, they have approximately 300 millimeters. Rainy seasons normally starts from the month of November and ends in February, but in our opinion, this month of January this year, rained a lot here in Costa del Sol. There was flooding everywhere. We actually got the alert from the government saying, please don't leave the house, it's dangerous. So many people think when they come to the coast of Spain that it's going to be sunny throughout the year. You couldn't be more wrong. But then in Costa Blanca, it does rain as well. And when it rains, it's a lot more intense than it is here in Costa del Sol. And lastly, wind. This is the one that Aslam hates the most. In Costa Blanca, it's a bit more peaceful. The wind is a lot softer, apart from towns like Denia or Calpe, when it can get a bit windy. Here in Costa del Sol, especially on the western side of Costa del Sol, from Manilva, La Duquesa, where we are right now, Soto Grande, we are very close to the stretch of Gibraltar. We are very close to the Cádiz province, which is very famous for the Levante wind. And when the Levante wind hits, it's extremely windy.
If you have been following us for some time, you would know that Julian is more of a beach guy, whereas I am a mountain person. And this is why we live where we live. This is Benahavis Council, our local council. And look at that around me, lush green valleys. There's a beautiful river walkway down there. And we are only 10 minutes drive from a local beach here. Before going to Costa Blanca, I was expecting it to be completely flat, but how wrong I was. South of Alicante was less hilly, but the north of Alicante, especially around Denia and Altea hills, it was not only hilly, but there were green mountains. There is a difference though. It does rain more in Costa del Sol, and that's why you see greenery here. You would feel that going out from the airport that Costa del Sol is greener compared to Costa Blanca. And also here you have a like a big wall of mountain or hills running through one end of Costa del Sol all the way to the other end, and Nerja's rugged coast is absolutely gorgeous. Having said that, we love the Piñón de Fach in Calpe. The views there were absolutely stunning, one of the best views we've seen in Spain, and also Montco has spectacular views all around. Let's talk about the geography of these two coasts. Costa del Sol lies further south, in fact, all the way down south in the tip of Europe, where Europe meets Africa. In fact, a lot of times you can see Moroccan coast from our houses. Both of the coast lies on the Mediterranean Sea, but Costa del Sol is actually closer to Atlantic Ocean, like Julian said before. For that reason, we do have colder waters here. Costa Blanca lies in the kind of like the middle of the Mediterranean Sea coast of Spain, and it's closer to Valencia and it's closer to Barcelona. Costa del Sol is 150 kilometers long, whereas Costa Blanca 244 kilometers, nearly 100 kilometers longer than Costa del Sol. But the population is nearly identical. Each coast has between 1.8 to 2 million people living in there. That means that Costa del Sol is a bit more congested, and we do feel that as well, especially all the towns around Malaga city, between on the western side, Malaga, Torremolinos, Benalmádena, Fuengirola, Mijas, Marbella, Estepona. They're one town after another, almost like each town is merging into another one, making it a long linear metropolis. However, driving in Costa Blanca, I remember the towns were not on top of each other. They were a little bit further apart from each other. From Alicante to Benidorm to Altea, Denia, it felt more open, similar to Estepona, Manilva side or Nerja side of Costa del Sol. Let's talk about the towns now in each coast. Both of them have got towns on the coast and up in the hills. In Costa del Sol, you have more Andalusian feel, the arches, whitewashed walls. But we were quite surprised to see a whitewashed village in Costa Blanca, Altea, which was one of the most beautiful whitewashed villages. And how can we forget about Benidorm and Calpe, the skyscrapers piercing the skies. There's nothing like this on anywhere in Mediterranean coast.
What about the beaches? You all know I grew up at the beach in Cádiz, and beaches for me is one of the most important things when I consider a place to either visit or to move to. And starting with Costa del Sol. Costa del Sol has kilometers upon kilometers of coastal line with beautiful beaches. However, as you all know, I'm very critical with the quality of the sun here in Costa del Sol, because the quality of the sun here is slightly darker compared to Costa Blanca. When we spend a week in Costa Blanca, one of the things that really shocked me the most is how clean the sun was, how fine and white it was, the sun. I loved it because it really reminded me of the beaches I grew up in Costa de la Luz. Also, the second thing that really surprised me in Costa Blanca was the quality of the water. It was very clear, very turquoise as well. It looked like you were in a very exotic country. I'm not saying that the beaches here in Costa del Sol are bad, but when I'm comparing them to Costa Blanca, I will be choosing Costa Blanca over Costa del Sol for those two reasons. But then, if you come here to Costa del Sol, you will see a lot more chiringuitos throughout the year. Because when we went to Costa Blanca, the chiringuitos were not set up then. They told us in the comments we received from our viewers that the chiringuitos are set up later in the year when the summer season hits. But there were lots of options for you to go and eat and have a drink in the amazing promenades. Costa Blanca has a lot more kilometers of coastline that are virgin, that not many people go to. I like to go every now and then to beaches that are more deserted, to beaches that you can go there and there's only a few people in there, rather than an urban beach that's going to be a lot busier. The temperature of the water in Costa Blanca is slightly warmer than you see here in Costa del Sol. Even though both locations are in Mediterranean Sea, we are closer to Gibraltar. From here you can see the Rock of Gibraltar. We are so close to the Strait of Gibraltar that separates the Atlantic Ocean with the Mediterranean Sea. So you're gonna get the waves and the currents going from the Atlantic Ocean, making this part of the beach a bit cooler. In my opinion, I prefer that, because in a day like today that is near 30 degrees, you don't want to go in the water and then have warm temperature. You want to go in the water, refresh, cools you down. But in Costa Blanca, It's slightly warmer, not much warmer, probably would say 2 or 3 degrees warmer. But if I had to choose a beach between the two, I would go with Costa Blanca because of the quality of the sun, the quality of the water, and just how virgin it feels in some places.
We've been going to quite a few beaches, exploring different areas of Costa del Sol. And we have got some stunning beaches, like even in Porto Banús in Marbella, golden sands, an amazing backdrop, beautiful, and Cabo Pino, as well as many beaches around Mijas and Manilva. But the moment we went to Alicante, that was the biggest shocker. I'd never thought in Spain, a big decent sized city would have such a pristine, crystal clear beach. Let's not talk about the money, because this might be the deciding factor for somebody choosing between the two coasts. And both of the coasts have been very popular throughout the decades for people to visit and also to make their home permanently. But it comes down to the type of tourism each coast has been attracting over the years. Costa Blanca's focus has always been on package holidays, and that's why you see so many package holiday destinations or hotels around Benidorm and even Calpe, whereas Costa del Sol's focus has been on premium high-end tourism, especially around Marbella area. Costa Blanca still does have luxury places, and Costa del Sol also have package holidays, especially around Torremolinos area. But over the years, they have built an environment. High net worth individuals visiting Costa del Sol with deeper pockets meant a premium can be charged, and that can be seen in different parts of life, from going out to property prices, even rentals. On our visit to Alicante city, we were genuinely surprised by the property prices and the kind of city it was. Generally speaking, along the coast of Costa Blanca, the average property price per square meter is about between 2,500 per square meters to 3,500 per square meter. And if you compare that to Costa del Sol, you're looking at between 3,500 per square meter to 4,500 per square meter. And when it comes to the premium end property, there are a lot more areas in Costa del Sol, especially around the area, the Golden Triangle. We have the Marbella, Estepona, and Benahaves. This area has some of Spain's most expensive streets and most expensive properties here. When we're thinking about a premium villa, you can get a nice premium villa in the Altea Hills or Denia area, which is the top areas of Costa Blanca, for about 3 million to 5 million euros. And the same kind of villa in Costa del Sol, or especially around Marbella area, you're looking at between 5 million, even up to 20 million euros. I'm actually quite genuinely surprised by the new developments that are coming up in Estepona, or the new Golden Mile they call it. The prices of 2-bedroom apartment, I know they are luxury, but they are luxury apartments everywhere these days. They start from 800,000 euros for a 2-bedroom apartment. Never heard anything like this, and that's not even on the seafront. And it's not just one-off case. There are multiple developments coming up around Estepona and even all the way to Manilva, increasing the luxury developments area to all of the Costa del Sol. And in my opinion, is it worth it? I'm not too sure anymore. And it's pretty much the similar story when it comes to rentals. First of all, throughout Spain, it's becoming ever so difficult to find long-term rentals, especially in places like Malaga. It's extremely difficult. Talking about numbers, for a 2-bedroom apartment in Costa Blanca, you're looking at between 900 euros to 1,400 euros per month, whereas in Costa del Sol, average is about 1,200 to 2,000 euros per month. Let's say you bought a house here. Now, day-to-day living is going to be more or less the same, because you have supermarkets there, supermarkets here, petrol garages there, petrol garages here. So that's not going to be any different. The difference comes when you go out or go out for a restaurant, you go out for night out. That's where you feel the difference. And once again, for the very same reason, Costa del Sol is going to be more expensive. Not that much. Only if you decide to go premium places, then you can lose thousands in one night. But generally speaking, if you bump into a restaurant, stop by and eat in a restaurant in Costa del Sol versus Costa Blanca, you expect to pay about 10 to 20% more over here.
What about safety? Especially if you come to both coastlines with your young ones, family, you don't need to worry. Spain overall is a very safe country, and we spend quite a lot of time here in Costa del Sol, and we have never encountered any issue. And in many of our videos, you will have seen us walking at night, children playing past midnight. We never encountered an issue. And in Costa Blanca, when we went there, it felt really safe as well. We were walking in Alicante, Calpe, Altea, and early hours of the morning, we were also carrying the camera because we were recording the videos for YouTube. we never encountered any issues. However, it was only in Benidorm when we were walking, and if you have seen our video of Benidorm, you will see that we encountered an issue and someone wanted to fight us off. Aslan was about to call the police, but we just moved away from the situation. We didn't want any issues, but that really translates onto Costa Blanca, especially the Benidorm area. You're gonna face more drunk issues when you have too much of a drink. Of course, that takes to problems, but that could happen anywhere. But because Benidorm is the capital of alcohol and party of Costa Blanca, you are more likely to encounter issues there. Not always, of course, but sometimes. But here in Marbella, or especially Costa del Sol, it's not really that clean either, because you have drug-related problems. So the issues that you see online, there is a gang against another gang, and that's the word here, gang versus gang, because they don't really affect the day-to-day person or the tourist coming here. It's basically drug-related issues. But overall, I don't want to scare you, because it feels very safe. Of course, you're going to have an isolated case here and there, but that could happen anywhere in the world.
While talking about the prices here in Costa del Sol, we came across Alexander from Sweden. He's got an apartment actually here in Estepona, and we were talking about the prices here, and he's got a very good point.
Yeah, so we love Estepona. We bought an apartment here in 2021, and we felt that it was very Spanish still, but we could still feel the changes. But now, 5 years later, almost going on 6 years, we see every time we come here, some local restaurant that we love, you know, you sit on plastic chairs, it's very simple. They close down for maybe a big chain or some luxury restaurant opening instead. For example, a Swedish chain restaurant called Texas Longhorn, I think. I mean, it's very mixed. You can feel the changes coming in. You can feel this luxury train moving into the station, and like almost...
The prices are going up, is that right?
Yeah, you can definitely feel it.
Alexander's been to Alicante as well, and he's got an opinion on beaches. I might disagree with that, but let's hear it from him.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the beaches are more beautiful there. The sand is more powdery and the water is more beautiful, but it's too hot there. I like the coldness here, that the water is refreshing.
So you're saying that you don't like the warm waters of Alicante?
No, not in the summer. It's not refreshing.
Yeah. Both Costa Blanca and Costa del Sol have huge expat population, so you won't be the only foreigner here. In fact, there are so many expat groups and activities throughout the week and the year. If you talk about numbers, Costa Blanca, in fact, has more foreign population than any province in Spain. 1 in 4 residents, about 25%, 465,000 expats living in Alicante province or Costa Blanca coast. Costa del Sol is not far off behind. 1 in 5 residents in Costa del Sol are foreigners, and of course the British make the majority of the residents. Apart from the Brits, both coasts have a large German and Scandinavian population. However, Costa del Sol does have a bigger variety, and it does attract a lot of Americans, Italians and Polish people as well. We found that Costa del Sol does attract a broader mix of professionals, entrepreneurs and luxury buyers, whereas Costa Blanca has long been a favorite destination for retirees and second home buyers. But things are changing as well in Costa Blanca, especially digital nomads. They're making Alicante and the area surrounding it their favorite destination. Let's talk about lifestyle now. And this is where things get really interesting, because Costa del Sol has built a reputation over the decades as one of the most luxurious places to live in all of Europe. World-class golf, international schools, beach clubs, branded residencies like Dolce & Gabbana and Fendi, but all of that comes at a price. The question is that now that other parts of Spain, like Costa Blanca, are offering similar kind of lifestyle, golf residences, international communities, beautiful, superb beaches, is Costa del Sol still worth paying the premium for? Now, both places offer similar lifestyles in terms of you want to slow your life down. Costa del Sol has many places where you can relax and enjoy your life peacefully. And same in Costa Blanca. And if you talk about luxury, Costa Blanca has many luxurious places. But when it comes to true luxury, nothing can beat Costa del Sol, especially places like Marbella. But Costa del Sol hit luxury critical mass long time ago, meaning it's not just the housing, but also the things available for high net worth individuals to socialize and network within the same environment.
And I think that's the main difference when we visited Costa Blanca and living here Costa del Sol. In Costa del Sol, it feels a bit more luxurious, but the soul still remains the same. Walks on the beach, going to the beach with your friends and family, having dinner after 10 p.m. at night, and having the terrace lifestyle and staying in the terrace in the restaurant for hours, chatting with your friends, and then going for a night walk, feeling safe. That soul still remains. The only difference you're gonna see here in Marbella, for example, you're gonna see a few more expensive cars, you're gonna see a few more expensive shops, but it's more or less the same. So it goes down to your own preferences.
Well, when it comes to nightlife, both places do offer amazing nightlife facilities, but when it comes to Costa del Sol, there are some very high-end places. For example, if you go to some clubs here, you might be paying about up to 40 euros for a single drink. And that's a bit not for everybody, but like I said before, there's an ecosystem for people who are billionaires or millionaires. These kind of places exist for them.
Which brings us very nicely to the next point. What can you do in Costa del Sol? What can you do in Costa Blanca? The core is exactly the same. You can go to the beach, there are lots of hiking trails, you have water parks, shopping centers, lots of restaurants, lots of nightclubs. But what changes is the area, what's surrounding both coastlines. Here in Costa del Sol is very famous for being the capital of golf of Europe. But then, seeing that we are in Andalusia, one of the things that Aslam and I will love to do is going to Pueblos Blancos, explore the whitewashed towns with the covered streets, having a nice drink. And one town that really surprised us in Costa Blanca was Altea, because Altea was a very similar whitewashed town that we see in Andalusia. Here in Costa del Sol, we are very close also to Morocco, so you can easily get a ferry and go to another continent, go to another country. And also we are very close to Portugal. It's approximately 4 hours drive to get to Portugal, to get different food, different atmosphere. In Costa Blanca, you have beautiful towns as well, like I mentioned. Altea reminded me of a whitewashed town of Andalusia. Then you have Benidorm, which feels like you are in the Miami of Europe. You also have Calpe, which is like a mini version of Benidorm. Then across the land, you have Ibiza, which you can get a ferry and go to the party land of the world as well. You have Alicante as well, which is like the hub, the city of the Costa Blanca, which reminds me a little bit of Malaga, the layout of the Alicante city with the marina, then you have the castle, then you have the town center with the big promenade. Very similar feeling. We cannot forget about Valencia. Just a few hours drive from Costa Blanca, we take you to one of the biggest cities in Spain and try the delicious food, paella. That's the typical Spanish food, and that comes from Valencia region. So the options are endless. It all depends on your preferences, what you want to do in both destinations, but they are equally beautiful.
Like Costa del Sol, there are many places in Costa Blanca where you can go in the mountains and enjoy beautiful waterfalls, like we mentioned in a previous video, Algar waterfall with amazing surroundings. There are mountaintop villages that are straight out of fairy tales. And just like that in Costa del Sol, we have Ronda, one of the most dramatic mountain village that you can find in maybe Europe. One thing that I really like is surfing. Coast of Cadiz is only 2 hours drive from here, and that is popular for surfing. And finally, we also have Gibraltar, which is a British overseas territory. If you're from the UK or if you want to try UK culture without leaving Spain, Gibraltar is right at the end of Costa del Sol. And very soon, in the next couple of days, the border is coming down, meaning that you can just walk in. Let's talk about job opportunities. Traditionally, both coasts offers lots of job in tourism sector, but now things are changing, especially in places like Malaga and Valencia, which is not far from Costa Blanca, Valencia, but Malaga specifically is changing a lot, and it's investing and becoming one of top tech hubs in Europe. It has places like Google's security head office, Oracle's office, and it's expanding even more. So future for Malaga tech scene is booming. And also now, Marbella is catching up on that as well, because high net worth individuals are moving permanently before they used to come for holidays. With them, they're bringing in their expertise to create tech companies and also unicorn businesses here in Marbella. That does not mean that Costa Blanca does not have good job opportunities. The digital nomad scene in Costa Blanca is booming. Because of the prices of accommodation, Costa Blanca is becoming one of Spain's top destinations for digital nomads to move in. Alicante's Distrito Digital is also a tech hub, which is much smaller than Malaga's, but it's something that has started and is hopefully gonna boom soon.
And if you are on the map thinking of moving to Spain and you look at the accommodation prices in Costa del Sol versus the accommodation prices in Costa Blanca, probably Costa Blanca is going to be more attractive because especially when you want to start fresh in a new country, the cost of accommodation is one of the most important things. So to make it easier for you, probably Costa Blanca would be a better option. What about getting around and getting to both coasts? Both Malaga City and Alicante have international airports with very good connections, very modern. However, Malaga wins a bit more over Alicante because when it comes to long-haul flights to America, Asia, they offer better connections. Also, Malaga receives around 25 million passengers a year, whilst Alicante has around 18 million passengers. When it comes to the airport as well, Malaga Airport has a direct train line that departs from the terminal connecting the different towns in Costa del Sol. In Alicante, unfortunately, if you want to take the train or the tram, you have to leave the terminal and then take connection over there. Malaga Airport offers a train that goes from Malaga City, stops in Malaga Airport, and then it goes towards the west side, stopping in places like Benalmádena, Torremolinos, Fuengirola, but then it stops there. If you want to go to Marbella, Estepona, then you need to rely on taxis, car hire, or buses. And it's a similar story when it comes to Alicante because once you have taken the exchange from the airport to the train line or the tram, you can go to places like Benidorm, Denia, Calpe on the tram. But then it stops there, it doesn't go any further. So you're going to have to rely on buses, car hire or taxis. But then, one of the things I was most surprised about, and I keep saying in every single video we do about Costa del Sol, how much I hate driving here in Costa del Sol. Traffic is horrendous. Sometimes it takes us 2 or 3 times the time, especially in the peak of the summer. And it's very stressful, lots of accidents every single day. I don't know you guys, if you're coming to Costa del Sol and you're thinking, I'm gonna relax, I'm gonna go for a very relaxing drive from Marbella to Malaga, sometimes it can become an odyssey and it's very stressful. But I was so surprised when we were driving in Costa Blanca, driving from Alicante all the way to Calpe, which is a long drive. But one of the things that really shocked me the most is that recently, one of the toll roads, they made it free. So if they made the AP7 here in Costa del Sol free, that would be a really good opportunity for people to travel faster to destinations and a lot easier. But they don't want to do it. They're still going to get it paid, especially in the summer here in Costa del Sol. They increase the prices of the toll roads. Sometimes it could be 20, 30 euros, which it keeps adding up if you're moving along the coast. So when it comes to transportation options, because we use the car more often, because to move around, I would say Costa Blanca is the winner. However, if you're coming from a European destination, probably Alicante is as good as a Malaga. But if you're coming from outside the European continent, probably Malaga will offer you better options. When it comes to venturing out into the amazing country of Spain, because of course, if you come here, you don't want to just explore the surrounding areas, you want to explore the entire country of Spain. Both cities, Malaga and Alicante, offer fantastic connections with the capital, Madrid, and you can reach there in a high-speed train in approximately 2.5 hours. But there are many other connections from those destinations to the rest of the country of Spain, which will make your stay, your visit, or your life in any of those destinations amazing.
Costa del Sol or Costa Blanca. We went out to find differences, but we ended up finding that there is more similarities between them than the differences. They both have equally superb lifestyle. It really comes down to your personal preferences. Would you rather have pristine beaches of Costa Blanca, or you're fine with beaches here, which are not too bad either? But here it comes with a price tag. It's more expensive. But then you also have premium feel here as well. And finally, the location. Would you rather be closer to Valencia and 5 hours drive away from Barcelona, amazing city? Or would you be rather closer to Gibraltar, Sevilla, Portugal, or even Morocco? Thank you very much for watching. We hope this video helped you make a better decision. Next week, we will see you from another great location in Spain. Hasta luego.